Welcome back to the Chaplain's mic. This is part 2 of the conversation we started. I had promised you that I'll be bringing you real sacred stories from our learning institutions. And I hosted my friends, Abby and Ronnie, and I have them again in the part 2 of the conversation. I want us to have these conversations with them and help you understand how on the receiving end of the students, how they experience chaplaincy and what we can better as a chaplain. By the way, welcome guys for part 2 of this. I wanted to ask you something, and I don't know how both of you are going to respond to it. Abby, if you are a chaplain for just a day, what would you do differently?
Wow. If I were a chaplain for just a day.
Yes. Imagine now we are calling you Pastor Abby, and you are given that office that I sit in every day.
Oh my God. You know, it is such, I have never even imagined, because I see the amount of work that goes into chaplaincy and spiritual affairs and students. So I've never imagined myself in that position, but if
Now
I
imagine.
were,
Yes.
what would I do different? I would, in the spirit of making everything relatable,
Yes.
and ensuring that students are comfortable, I would be less official when I'm dealing with students. And that goes to even the language that I use to talk to students. And I found that very helpful. Using you as a case example, when you step into real talk, like few people make out that you are actually a chaplain. So when we tell them later on, that's when, oh, okay. Because it's the way you come down to their level. So I'd be less official with students in terms of language. I'd even learn some slang.
Yes, right.
So that I interact with them. And I'd probably research into what makes students happy.
Yes.
Okay, we've mentioned food. But current affairs, and try to relate whatever it is that my students are going through with what is happening and integrate all of that for a wholesome experience. Yeah, probably that.
Now, what Abby is actually trying to tell us is contextualizing your ministry.
Yeah.
Like when you get into a space, we were just having a chat behind the tent that when students need tea, you don't give them juice.
Yeah.
Or when they need coffee, you don't give them milk, you know. So you make sure that you really get into their context, to make sure that they feel your vibe. And that doesn't mean that you lose your authority. Remember, there are 3 things that actually make chaplaincy work real and make it effective. Number 1 is your availability. The more you avail yourself to students, the more students can access your office whenever they need you, or they can call you, or they can text you. That availability is something for them. Number 2 is your authenticity, your genuineness, like how you present yourself to them. I am a single lady. If I start fornicating, I cannot talk to the young people and tell them do not fornicate, because they see it is the thing of monkey see and monkey do. And lastly, what actually makes you look different is authority. And sometimes I think we confuse authority with power. Because as a chaplain, when we talk about authority, it's just guarding your boundaries, making sure that even as you let loose and interact with students, you don't lose yourself, you know. Because at the end of the day, these students will need prayers from you, they will need wise counsel from you, they will need presence from you. And if there is a way that you have made it quote unquote very easy without boundaries, then it becomes very compromising on your end and even on their end to relate with you. So authority, availability has to be there, and authenticity. You have to be very, very genuine. Ronnie, if you were to be a chaplain just for a day, what would you do?
Interesting question. I think for me, I don't like staying in an office or in a confined environment for a very long time. I would kind of invent a remote office. Like I can be everywhere and with the students. Maybe when I'm not engaged, I'm at the library, I'm at the mess, I'm at the field, like everywhere. And I try also to quote unquote camouflage professionally, even in my dressing and everything. Just basically what Abby was saying, dressing like the people that you want to affect. So that you can also speak the same language, you relate with them and all that. So mine will be a remote office. I know it's crazy, but
I get what you're saying. I wonder, when you think about it, both of you, who who do you think are the students that come to us? Before we talk about who the students who come to us should be, who do you think are students that actually go to chaplaincy?
Students that go to chaplaincy. Students in need of support. Emotional support. Academic support. And I think they come voluntarily, but I also think some do not have much of an option.
Sometimes they are given a rule, and you have to see the chaplaincy for clearance on something if it's a discipline issue, for example.
So that's category 1. Category 2, I think the students that come are students that need nourishment, because life can exhaust you, and if you do not have a well from which you feed from or drink from, it can get to a point when you are frustrated, and the only other source of hope is a chaplain. So that is category number 2. Category number 3, the case of myself and Ronnie.
I hope not looking for tea and mandazi.
People that have just found a friend, like for our case, with whom we share a vision on student leadership in terms of the Christian Union, and someone to just work with in the same. That's what I think.
Ronnie, and what would make a student hesitant? For example, if I'm interacting with you, what would make you hesitant in interacting with me or opening up to me?
That gap of you being a professional and me being a student. I'll be like, some people come to your office and like they are very formal, like, good morning, Percy, how are you? Then you start speaking to them in slang and saying like, what? Percy can do this. So sometimes that gap makes people be hesitant, like, now I have to go and introduce myself to Percy, follow the protocols, say Pastor Deborah, all those, that professional disconnect can intimidate some people from coming.
So what these students are actually telling us is very true, that sometimes students don't just come to you when they're in crisis. Sometimes they just want to see a person who is just available for them. A person who they can just have a chat, we joke about this thing of tea and mandazi a lot, but it is a thing, just having students come and be themselves, just talk to you about their normal issues. I mean, by the way, we are human beings too, and sometimes we are weighed down by the very many emotional needs that people come with, and it actually feels very nice when a student comes to you with something that is just randomly positive. Last semester there's a student called Andrew who came to my office. Big up Andrew. Andrew came to my office and he just said, I have come to just say thank you for the work you do as a chaplain.
Wow.
I just woke up this morning and I thought about it and I said, let me just come and say thank you for the work you do and have an interaction with you, casual interaction about how your day is going. And sometimes we also need that. So I am glad that you are able to see that too. And also speaking about that, do you think there are other life issues apart from the spiritual issues that chaplains could help young people with?
Absolutely, Percy. Professionalism. How am I supposed to exist in a space that is outside school once I leave school? We need help knowing how to manage money, finances, how to acquire more sustained ones that we have, how to prospectively run our future families, how to interact with people outside the social school space, because corporate is different, and basically do life out of school, because it's a whole different ball game out there. And for us, let me speak for myself, a chaplain models what it is like to live out Christianity in the world. So I look at them from how they run their homes, to how they run their individual lives, to how they do work, to how they interact with students, to how everything about them is an indicator for me on how even a Christian should live. So I look at them from a very different perspective, apart from this person is their spiritual covering when you are here. So there is a lot. Like there are people that don't know even mannerisms, basic mannerisms. And it is not their fault. And they are here in a place of training. So apart from academia, they can really get one or two things. If not from their friends, at the very least, that is what a chaplain can do. You know? Even social cues, you know, some people don't easily pick that up. So there's a lot. I believe that when you are a chaplain, a student's entire life is entrusted
in your hands.
You.
Yeah, true.
So there's spirituality, of course, but then all the other things to do with life. If you can give some input, do it.
Ronnie, what do you think about it?
As holistic development is one of my beliefs personally, and that somebody should develop in all those areas. And since a chaplain is somebody who does not work just in a church or somewhere who is confined, as a chaplain you work in a secularized environment, and in such a place you have to develop holistically, spiritually, academically, socially, emotionally, all those areas. So seeking out a chaplain just because of spiritual development will be, I'll say, you'll not bring out the best of the services of the chaplain if you just seek spiritually. There are other things that chaplains can offer: spiritual development, physical, emotional, financial, and all those. So I'll say we can seek out all those areas.
Right. And what these students are trying to tell us, if you're a chaplain, you know you have done crisis counseling, you have done Christian counseling, and all these types of counseling. So you are able to integrate. Do not just sit there and wait for you to resolve spiritual issues. You can diversify. And like Abby said, you can learn some of the things that these students are speaking about. You can, sometimes I go on TikTok, not because I want to really be loud or anything, but I just want to know what is trending. What are people saying? You know, when somebody is talking about this or that or the other, what is that supposed to mean, or what is the context of that conversation? When people are talking about umemeza brufen, you know, I can be able to tell, and so I can pull out that and have a conversation with them. And when I feel they are called, I can ask them that question, and it becomes easier for them to warm up to you. It becomes easier for them to talk to you. It becomes easier for them to interact with you as a chaplain. By the way, how do you guys think a closed chaplain looks like?
A
closed one, yeah. The one that is not very warm. How do they look like?
So, in my mind,
the
image is they wear a collar and official.
We have to wear collars.
No, listen. And official clothes, like suit and everything. If they are a man, their head is clean shaven. If they are a woman, they have one color hairstyle, and the hair can't.
I have colored my hair.
One color, like all black or all maroon, and then they have held their hair. But this is what I'm imagining. And then they are very cut when they speak. No further engagement. You need prayers, we pray. You need counseling. Let's say, for example, you're in an addiction. They tell you, don't get addicted. Come to Christ. Don't you know? Like very. How do I put this? Yeah, they have already preconceived how they are going to respond to issues. You understand? Like, you see, there is a way you can, what we are talking about, contextualizing. Like, even in matters of response, like they have already preconceived their responses. If it is addiction, I'm going to take like this. If it is prayers, these are the kind of prayers I'm going to make. If it is family matters, this is what I'm going to say. You see? So there is nothing much to, that is what I'm imagining when we speak. And they are always in their office. And when it gets to 4, you can no longer find them. You can't call them past office hours. Yeah, that's what I'm imagining a closed chaplain looks like.
Chaplains, They're not saying you don't put on white collars.
Please do.
They're just saying don't do it so much, too much, even in casual conversations with them. Yes, Ronnie, what do you think?
Abby. Abby,
why are you waiting for that question?
I've already imagined this, and I'm like, if Pastor Debbie was like that, I don't know, would it even be this far? Yeah, so a little casualness goes a long way.
Just make sure you guard your authority.
Yeah.
Just make sure authority boundaries are very well set, they are clear, but then we be nice and we be more available. Thank you, Abby. Wow, my tummy hurts. Ronnie.
I hope Abby is not speaking from experience, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
Because, the way you're saying it with so much personal conviction.
It's imagination, guys. It's imagination.
Apart from Abby, what Abby has said is really true, by the way. But I want to believe a chaplain is also a person who is very available.
Yeah.
So a close chaplain will be a person who is not that much available. You must stay with people and offer the ministry of presence that you are speaking about at first. And also I'll add over spirituality, which is not bad, but now a chaplain should be balanced. You can speak on all areas, financial, emotional, relational, all those things. Yeah.
Actually, let me teach you something. I don't know if I'll be teaching you or it's something you have had. There are two things that actually kill people in ministry, and even the people who are young people like you who are also just relating with other people. And number one is what we call hyper spirituality that you have talked about. We call it hyper spirituality because you see someone saying life is spiritual, but now they over spiritualize everything, that even the things that they need to take responsibility for, they don't. And they expect, like you students, you imagine you will wake up and pray and fast for the whole week instead of attending your classes, and they expect that will help you pass your exams. You see, that is what we call hyper spirituality. Or sometimes you see normal things. I see Abby dressed in a black top. I'm already imagining something, I spiritualize everything. And sometimes hyper spirituality will lead people either to be very legalistic, like you want to do so many things so that you earn the validation of God, of Christ. You want to earn, it's like you're working too hard to make your presence somewhere in God's agenda. But you see, God is omnipresent. So there's one side, hyper spirituality. And people who are not hyper spiritual, others we call them over religious people. So we call it over religiosity. So what happens is this person is religious in every manner, like the way they dress, the way they even talk. There are people, they talk in a specific tone. We call it religiosity over religious people. And now the opposite of hyper spirituality, which we need to be very careful about, is actually what we call hyper grace. Hyper grace now comes out as something to do with God is gracious, and we can just do life, we can interact, we can hug, we can touch with one another, we can, God is a gracious God. You can even just sin and then just expect His grace He will forgive you and all that. And that also has its own implications, because when you dwell so much into hyper grace, you may also lack responsibility and accountability, and especially accountability, because every time somebody tells you something, you will pull out this card. Do not judge. Have you heard that thing of judge not? Who are you? Who are you to judge? So hyper grace and hyper spirituality, and actually and also incorporating over religiosity, those things kill a person, whether you're young, whether you're old, whether you're a chaplain or whether you're a student. Those things actually kill the way you live your life and the way you do life. That's just something I don't know if I taught you or you knew it.
We are learning.
Thank you for being honest. Thank you for being honest. Those are things that actually kill us. Now, I'm also thinking about these students who are never interested in chaplaincy. Like never interested. Probably they are not of faith. Or they just assume, because there's an assumption. One time my brother told me, what he knows about chaplaincy is that a chaplain is only there to pray for people during special occasions, to preach to people, to get saved, and also to clear students when they are completing university or college studies, you see. So these students that actually are never interested in chaplaincy, do you think there's something we can do as chaplains to help them? Do you think there's a way we can reach out to them, quote unquote, without evangelizing, and pull them to our side also and make them follow the path of faith?
That is now where my remote office comes in. Yeah, if I could invent such a thing, because if they cannot come to us, we have to go to them. And not per se evangelism, but just being present with them. If, for example, you as a chaplain, one time you can just take your meal at the mess and just sit somewhere. Somebody will reach out, because maybe they are afraid to come to the office. And in fact, some students don't know where the office of the chaplain is. It's not that they don't want to come. So, but if somebody spots you sitting at the mess or eating or taking breakfast or supper, then they're like, oh, let me go and see.
Now we have to wind up this episode and go to the next one. And so you have heard from the students. That is what they're saying. Actually, to wrap it all up, it's a matter of availability and presentability, how you present yourself and how you're available in the whole situation. So until next time, we will see you in our next episode. Bye-bye for now.